the NGA Hooters Tour. This week in Louisville, Kentucky. We're at Seneca Golf Course, this grand old municipal facility, the home in 1958 to the PGA Tour when Gary Player won his first event on the American Tour. Years later, the outstanding young players on the NGA Hooters Tour here for the 6th consecutive year.
This broadcast is brought to you by Hooters Restaurants, home of world-famous chicken wings, and the nearly world-famous Hooters Girls. And by naturally fresh, pure spring water. All water is not pure. Taste the quality of naturally fresh, pure spring water. This broadcast is brought to you by Jackaroo Sauce. If you just got sauce, you ain't got Jack. And by smooth, rich-tasting Michelob. Beer or Michelob.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Moore. Welcome to This Week on the NGA Hooters Pro Golf Tour. This week, we are in Louisville, Kentucky. We're at the grand old Seneca Golf Course, the scene of many, many tournaments in the past. The Hooters Tour's been here 6 years. In those 6 years, 5 players have won. 3 of those players are currently on the PGA Tour. Spike McCroy, Vance Veazey, and Steve Flesch have all worked their way up to the top. Now, this week, there are more great young players from around the world out here just chomping at the bit to find a place on the PGA Tour or certainly be a star on this tour. Speaking of chomping on the bit, just across the way, the Churchill Downs racetrack. Just a few weeks ago, the scene of the Kentucky Derby. All that is part of the picture as the NGA Hooters Tour gets ready for the Rapport Classic here at Seneca Golf Course. Stick around, some great actions coming your way.
Only 2 players in the top 10 have had scores over par on this 7,000 and some odd yard Seneca Golf Course track. Earlier today, Jonathan Clark on the par 5 third hole, a birdie. Clark turns with a 34. He's within 3 of our leaders. Mark Wilson, our leader, after 36 and 54 holes. A birdie also here at the 3rd hole. He turns with a 35 and now is a co-leader at -10. Chad Campbell started the day 2 off the pace at -7. A bogey at the 3rd and then birdies at the 4th, 6th, 7th, and 9th for 33 and a share of the lead at -10 with Wilson. And here's our current leaderboard. Chad Campbell and Mark Wilson tied at -10, followed by Steve Ford, Darrett Brinker, Gilly Pope, and Jonathan Clark.
Hi, I'm Jen with the Louisville Hooters Store. You're watching This Week on the Hooters Tour. Stick with us and we'll be right back.
TJ and I were just walking through the park, and out of nowhere, a little boy comes up to me and says, "Can I have your autograph?" I looked around and I said, "Me? Why me?" He says, "Well, my dad and I were in the restaurant the other day and you're our Hooters girl." I love my job. You know, Hooters has provided me the opportunity to pursue my education in broadcast journalism. One day, Tom Brokaw, I'm gonna have your job. And TJ, he never has to worry about where his next bone's coming from. Come see me at Hooters.
Get him out of there. Bust it up, boys. Let's go.
There's ordinary beer. And then there's Michelob. Beer or Michelob?
Naming our salad dressing naturally fresh gives us a lot to live up to. So we use only the freshest vegetables and spices. And because we add no preservatives, you won't find naturally fresh on the salad dressing aisle. You'll only find it in the refrigerated produce section. Naturally fresh gives you premium quality without the premium price. We're located with the rest of the fresh produce. So try us next time you shop for fresh fruits and vegetables. The naturally fresh name is our promise.
Hey, Ananda, we didn't get any wimpy barbecue sauce. which is why, whenever we put something on the barbie, we make sure it's smothered with Jackaroo barbecue sauce. Jackaroo's got a bold and zesty taste as big as the Australian outback. So go on, mate. Pour it on chicken, ribs, shrimp, or steak, or use it in a bowl for a dip. Jackaroo barbecue sauce. It's the wonder from down under.
Jackaroo barbecue sauce. Big taste from a big place.
Matt Murray made one of his outstanding contributions in the first round of the NGA Hooters Classic here at Louisville. His 67 was just a shot off the lead, and this La Mesa, California resident really hadn't much to celebrate before that.
I missed my first 5 cuts, so that didn't help. And then last week I played well. And then today, I think I'm just going to keep it going, hopefully.
And while Matt Murray's been struggling, Mark Wilson has not been struggling. Very familiar with the leaderboard. After the second round and a fine 65 here, he was tied for the lead. Again, outstanding play by Mark.
I just know finally there's a premium on driving it in the fairway, and so that was key. If you keep it in the fairway, you're going to get some roll, and on some of the long holes, you're still going to have a short iron in. It's just a matter of keeping it in the fairway. If you hit it in the rough, then you're in trouble. And I was able to do it today. I think I missed like 3 fairways, but a couple of those were on par 5s where I was having to lay up anyways. And so I took advantage of it when I was in the fairway.
Mark Wilson and Scott Gardner were tied at 8 under par after 36 holes of play. Several players will make a move today. Here on the 580-yard par 5, Derek Brinker brings in a nice approach that sets up a birdie opportunity. Brinker from Evansville, Indiana, posted a set of 69s on Thursday and Friday. This putt here is for birdie, and he'll get this one. Scott Gardner will also birdie here at the 3rd hole. Scott will struggle on this round with a 4 over par 76, falling back 16 places. Par 5s were good to Brinker today. Again at the par 5 7th hole, Brinker will drop in for another birdie. He'll post his 3rd straight 69 for a 3-day total of 207 or 9 under par.
I was just basically playing the round as it came to me, and my goal was to be in position to win tomorrow, and that's exactly where I'm at. You're never going to run away with the tournament, especially when you got a whole 18 holes left. So.
Mark Wilson is the other front runner, a winner this year on the Hooters Tour. Mark will play consistently to hold on to his lead. A lot of pars and a few mistakes has him firing a 1 under par 71 for a 3-day total of 9 under par and a share of the lead.
And today I just kind of hung in there. I played really solid on the front, hit every green, 1 3-putt bogey, 1 birdie, and then I went to the back and I really hit some bad shots, and I think I hit 5 greens on the back only, and I scrambled and kept myself in it. So that if I happen to win tomorrow, this was probably the round that won it, not the 65. This hanging in there today, because I could have let it go and shot 75 pretty easily.
Others in the hunt for Sunday's final round will be Steve Ford of Melbourne, Florida. 69, 70, 69 puts him 1 back of our leaders. Steve Pope is 2 off the mark. He can make a move along with Steve Gilley of Noonan, Georgia. And here's a look at your leaderboard after 54 holes of play. You see Derek Brinker and Mark Wilson tied at 9 under par, followed by Steve Ford at 8 under par. Then Chad Campbell, Gilley, Pope, Heintz, Jason Buha at -6, Sean Rowan, Bradley, Shriver, followed by Dyson.
Today's final round pairings are Jonathan Clark from South Charleston, West Virginia, John Kimball from Somerville, Georgia, and David Hauser from Cordova, Tennessee. Also Peter Dyson from Pensacola, Florida, Steve Shriver from Long Beach, California, and Rob Bradley from Nashville, Tennessee. And in another group, Bob Heintz from Clearwater, Florida, Sean Rowan from Tampa, Florida, and Jason Buha from Atlanta. In another group, Steve Gilley from Noonan, Georgia. Chad Campbell hails from Andrews, Texas. And Steve Pope from Clinton, Mississippi. And our final group of the day, Mark Wilson from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Darrett Brinker from Evansville, Indiana. And Steve Ford from Melbourne, Florida.
Hi, I'm Becky from the Clarksville Hooters. You're watching some great young pros on the Hooters Tour, so stick around and we'll be right back.
What the?
Finding the best bottled water can be very confusing. At first glance, all water looks the same. But if you scientifically precipitate out the solids, you discover all water is not equal. Introducing naturally fresh, pure spring mountain water, refreshingly pure. This naturally fresh spring water adds extra quality to the all-natural goodness of every naturally fresh product. Make the clear choice. Naturally fresh, pure spring mountain water.
This broadcast is brought to you by V-Flight. Play it. And by Hewlett-Packard.
Now let's go out to the action on the golf course at Holstein. Joining me there, veteran broadcaster Gary Lee. Gary?
And we're at 16 for the tee shot of Sean Rowan.
This young man had missed most of the cuts coming into this event, so he is obviously having his best tournament of the year.
Safely on, but a good ways away from the stick there. And now a little trouble for Ford here on 14, Lee.
Steve, normally a very good iron player. He is on the short grass here, but a ways away.
And now the approach of Wilson on 14. Little trouble with the trees on this shot. Whoa now. Next at 14, the approach of Darrett Brinker.
Darrett, a tremendous iron player. Right there is an example. Those greens were very hard, and to get the ball to dance like that took some effort.
John Kimball, about 25 feet for birdie and 2 under. And he's not going to get it there.
Well, he's not having a great day. He's 4 over on the front side.
Back to 16. This is Heinz, his second shot on the par 3.
That's pretty good considering everything. He would like to have been just a bit closer.
Ahead to 17, and David Hauser.
David's father, a surgeon, a noted surgeon out of Alabama. And today, David trying to doctor himself here just a bit, getting this tap in here.
And we move back to 14, just off the green, looking to get close to save par and remain a co-leader with Ford. This is Wilson.
A lot of territory here Mark was trying to cover, and they were having a hard time gauging the speed of the greens. Sometimes there wasn't the consistency. But this young man has figured out a lot of things about this golf tour. He won earlier this year in Greenville, South Carolina.
Ahead to 16 and Sean Rowan. This is a long way for birdie, but not too bad. To the 17th green, Clark, this putt to save par and remain -6, and he's got it. Brinker at 14 for birdie.
Well, he started the day at 9 under. He's 1 over on his round today, and that expression right there tells you everything. That's one you really, really want, and he is, again, a playing partner today. Steve Ford and Mark Wilson in the threesome. Mark trying to slow down there is not to get in that line of sight behind a golfer. You might remember that when you play golf, don't you? Jason Buha here now for par. He's going to have to settle for a bogey, though. This young man, just a few weeks ago, was the medalist at first stage of U.S. Open qualifier in the Atlanta area out of Duke University, another ACC golfer. Jason Buha, mother's from Scotland.
Back to 14 we go. Steve Ford to save par and remain at -10. And our leader by 1 over Wilson. He's got it.
Steve's happy this week. Sharon and Carly, his daughter, out here with him.
Steve Shriver from the left side of the fairway. His approach at 17.
Well, he's well short of that at that flagstick there at the par 4 17th hole.
Next at 17, this is Dyson from the center of the fairway.
Well, he gets it right at the green, just a bit long. Let's talk to Rob Bradley, a UNC graduate.
You know, the rough was real high and the greens started getting firm on the weekend, so especially today it was tough to get the ball close to the hole.
And the Tar Heel graduate won't have to worry too much about this shot. This is hit right down the middle of the fairway onto the green at 17. Good play, Rob.
And hot on the heels of Ford and Wilson at 15, this is Brinker's approach.
Well, he led this tournament briefly after a couple of rounds of play, so, and coming in here with a win, he certainly knows how to get in front.
Back to 15 now. Mark Wilson's third shot.
Well, this is a talented young player working out of the rough, and he'll settle for that play. He'll have about 8 to 10 feet for a birdie.
Let's move to 16, the tee shot of Chad Campbell.
We've told you about the perils of 16, not in the distance, but just when you look down that hill at that green there, you got that big old tree hanging out there, and that's safely on the green, and not a bad play.
Back to 15, Steve Ford for birdie.
Fine putter. This one just barely short there.
And to 16, the tee shot of Steve Pope.
Steve had a terrible Saturday evening at the golf course. His clubs were stolen, of all things, from right in front of the pro shop. Speaking of being in front of, Steve Ford is in front of our class right now after 14 holes at 10 under par. Chad Campbell and Mark Wilson locked at 9 under right behind him. And then it comes to Derek Brinker. Steve Gilly and Bob Hines are at -7, and Clark at 6 under par through 17 holes. Some of the others, Dyson, Bradley, Schreiber, Steve Pope, and Scott Gardner. On the NGA Hooters Tour, there are two primary things that players are out here to earn. Number one is money. Number two is points that leads to a big pot of gold called the $500,000 Naturally Fresh Winners Points Championship. And a reminder, too, as you check out Scott Medlin on top with better than 1,300 points. Points are earned through order of finish at each tour event and also through low round of the day. Again, Medlin's on top, followed by Zoran Zorkic, Jason Karen, and Mike Schwartz, all over 1,000 points earned. Then it's Short, Sterling, Kamen, Wilson, Bob Heinz, and Brian Slevin. Those young men round out your top 10 coming into the event here at Seneca in Louisville.
Hi, I'm Allison from the Clarksville Hooters. We're having a great time here at this Hooters golf tournament, so stick around and we'll be right back.
This broadcast is brought to you by Rapport Composites, premium quality graphite shafts, and by Top Flight, the longest ball.
Hi, I'm Tim Singer, Tournament Director at the NGA Hooters Golf Tour. As with any sport, fitness is of the highest importance to an athlete. And to help our athletes, here's a tip from Dr. Timothy Gregory from Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm Dr. Tim Gregory. This is Mark Wilson, a Hooters Tour player. We're here today to demonstrate stretches and exercise that will prevent low back strain and try to loosen you up before your round. Mark's going to go to each side, holding for 3 seconds on each side. Next thing Mark's going to do is he's going to straighten his legs up. He's going to go down. He's going to hold for 3 seconds at the bottom. He's going to come back up. He's going to do this 5 times. Next thing we're going to do is Mark is going to grab this leg under the knee, pull, hold it for 3 seconds as close to the chest as he can, straighten the leg out, return it to normal position, and relax. Putting the foot flat on the table, Mark is going to turn, stretching the low back here, hold for 3 seconds on each side. Thank you. I'm Dr. Tim Gregory. Stay loose, stay fit. Next time, we'll show you some stretches for the neck.
After a little bit of a short approach here, this is Steve Shriver. That's a good solid stroke. He's going to have that left for his par. Back to 15 and Mark Wilson for birdie and a share of the lead at -10.
Mark, not too aggressive right here, so he's going to remain at 9 under par. Let's check out Steve Gilly now at hole 16. Boy, he'll give this one a ride, Gary.
And he's going to come up just about 5 feet short, but not a terrible effort. We move ahead to 17. This will be Dyson for birdie. Look out.
Oh, wow. Cellophane on top of that cup.
And we stay at 17. This will be Rob Bradley for birdie to get to -6. He's even on the day.
Just a bit more gas there. Maybe a couple of more Wheaties at breakfast time.
A little louder, as they say. And he's going to do a little housework on this. Back to 15 now. This is Brinker for his birdie to get within a stroke of the lead, and he does it, Lee. Nice solid round of golf for Derek Brinker. And next at 15, this is Ford to save his par and remain our leader by 1.
Boy, Steve's been frustrated this year. He is having one of his best tournaments so far in the state of Kentucky. He and I figured up he's something like 69 under par for like 5 or 6 tournaments.
To the 16th green, Steve Pope, 2 over today. This putt for birdie, 30 feet downhill. Not a bad effort.
Not with a brand new putter.
At 16, Chad Campbell, this is for birdie. He stands at -9, 1 back of Ford.
Chad, second year on the Hooters Tour. Well, he won't like that very much. He left himself quite a bit of work. 3 putts are just something these guys do not want to accept.
And now to 17, the approach of Jason Buha. 5 over on the day, 1 under for the tournament.
Well, they had him a pretty good line at the pin there, but you can see he a little short.
Now Rowan's approach to 17.
So many times you talk about the great young players and young prospects. This young man is one of those. Missed 3 cuts, having his best tournament of the year. But again, that happens so often on the Hooters Tour where all of a sudden one of these young thoroughbreds, speaking of Louisville, Kentucky, that comes out, and he was one this week.
This is Brinker back at 16. His tee shot.
Well, Derek's running out of holes. That's the whole story here. When you get to 16 and you got not many birdie opportunities left. That certainly wasn't one at 16.
And next to tee, Steve Ford. I believe that'll be in the shadows.
And again, Steve, like so many of the others with this particular hole here, not going to get too aggressive.
And this is Wilson at 16. Nice and high on the tee shot and right on the fat of the green, Lee.
How many golf balls have you seen hit on that side today? I'll tell you why. The pin's cut over there and that tree hangs out on the other side. A conservative approach.
To the home hole, this is John Kimball, his approach. He's 3 over on his round today.
That's a great shot right there. And believe me when I tell you how hard it was to hit the second shot on 18.
And out of trouble on his second shot at 17. This is the third shot of Bob Heintz in the rough. And I do mean rough, Lee.
Yep. Otherwise, Gary, they would call it the easy. That's not. Jonathan Clark, an outstanding young player on the tour, and we talked to him a short time ago. This is a good golf course. If you're going to play good, this is a real test, isn't it?
It's a real good test with this rough. I mean, this rough is brutal. And I think that was one of my advantages. I was a little stronger. I can get it out of the rough and, helps me on a lot of holes where a lot of guys can't get it to the greens. I think that's one of the big things, and it's a real tough golf course with this rough this way.
And Lee, we're at the 17th green. It's a long one, but it is for birdie. This is Sean Rowan.
Players having trouble getting the ball close. Wow.
Nice
That
effort.
it really was.
And next at 17, Bob Heintz, this to save his par. He's having a really good round today, Lee.
Yeah, he and Derek Brinker apparently had the same tailor coming out today. They're both in that black and white striped shirt. The NGA Hooters Tour, prominent there on the breast pocket. Part of what they wear when they are involved in that bonus program, the Naturally Fresh program, and that was a great effort there by Bob Heintz.
He'll stay at -7. We move back to the 16th now. This is Ford, and he's got a long way to go here.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, he just wants to get this one close.
Wow. How close? Steve Ford right there made an important, and who did we see do that a few weeks ago in Jackson, Mississippi? Was it not Corey Bowman that almost unexpected makes birdie at the par 3, one of the closing holes? Steve Ford's very pleased.
He'll move to -11 as we go ahead to 17. Jason Buha to save par. And that's a bogey for him. 6 over for the day.
Not having a good day.
Here's Brinker at 16 for birdie. Oh.
Well, he's going to stay at -9, but again, that's one of those putts that on another day at another time, it falls in. Since we last visited here on the NGA Hooters Tour, we have visited Natchez, Mississippi, the 6th time in there. Our winner, an outstanding young player, Scott Fawcett. And then later in Evansville, Indiana, our winner, a local guy, Derek Brinker, a veteran professional player, took it in front of mom and dad, relatives and friends, and he was a happy guy.
Yeah, it's definitely special. Like I said, I would not won on the Hooters Tour in about 30 events, and then to finally win one close to home was nice. And I normally do not play well in front of them, and it was nice to get on a hot streak and kind of have them enjoy it with me.
Hi, I'm Tamara from the Clarksville Hooters. We have more golf coming your way.
You know what they say, sauce sells.
Get him out of there. Bust it up, boys. Let's go.
There's ordinary beer. And then there's Michelob. Beer or Michelob?
Finding the best bottled water can be very confusing. At first glance, all water looks the same. But if you scientifically precipitate out the solids, you discover all water is not equal. Introducing naturally fresh, pure spring mountain water, refreshingly pure. This naturally fresh spring water adds extra quality to the all-natural goodness of every naturally fresh product. Make the clear choice. Naturally fresh, pure spring mountain water.
Next at 16, another long attempt for birdie. This is Mark Wilson.
You know, the thing about it, Gary, these are some great young players, a lot of ability, but it shows respect for this golf course they're playing. Not going right at that flagstick. Speaking of this golf course, Gary Player won his first tournament as an American PGA Tour member, the Kentucky Derby Open at Seneca in 1958. He won $2,000 and a racehorse. This is going to be a racehorse. Believe me, Mark Wilson out of UNC.
He'll save his par with that putt. And we move ahead to the 17th, the approach of Campbell from the center of the fairway.
You really got a lot of stick on that one. Boy, he finds that rough over there. We are introducing you to young players on the NGA Hooters Tour. Meet Steve Gilly.
If you had to drive it in the fairway, that is the key, and I usually hit it pretty straight, so I think it worked to my advantage, and I just didn't hold the putts where I needed to, but it's been a good week.
And now the approach at 17, Lee, for Steve Pope.
Well, we mentioned that Steve's had a tough couple of days when he had his club stolen. Billfold, credit cards, jewelry, car keys, everything in that pocket of his golf bag. Boy, that's a tough thing, but did get part of it back. And that gets part of it back off of that shot. Let's look at our leaderboard now. Our current leader is through the 16th hole, Steve Ford at -11. Playing in the same group, Mark Wilson at 9 under, and so is Derek Brinker. Some of the others, Chad Campbell is at 8 under par. Good tournament for Bob Hines at 6 under. So at the same score are Jonathan Clark and Steve Gilly, along with Steve Pope. At 5, you got 3 players, Bradley, Dyson, and Shriver, and Scott Gardner is in there at 4 under par, and a good tournament for Scotty.
At the 17th green, Lee, this is Chad Campbell just off the green for his third shot.
We said he had a little bit of the ball, Gary, that he was sitting up there pretty good. So, and he makes a good effort.
He will be happy with that one. And next will be Gilly, putting on 17, just off the green.
And that's not Gilly, that's Gilly.
I knew it was there somewhere.
You're right. He aged for a moment. And that can do it this game of golf. Well, he did not have enough steam on that one. If we could get some of the players out of the way there. Thank you, gentlemen. And he left little work. Pretty good crowd at Louisville. Some great folks, good volunteer support there.
Absolutely perfect day for it. Now Steve Pope, his putt at 17 for birdie.
Remember Steve with all new equipment. I tell you, he was the saddest fellow. Steve saw me coming out the door there at Seneca on Saturday evening, and he said either someone's playing a joke on me or my clubs are gone. He had come back out there to spend a little time on a putting green, had gone inside to get himself a hot dog, and came back to get his billfold to pay for it. Wow. Well, by comparison, that's not bad to the kind of day it was Saturday. He can handle that better than that golf bag situation. And I want to commend the people in Louisville. there at Play It Again Sports. The thief or his agent took Steve's bag and clubs over there and tried to sell them. They did sell them, but they got all the police and got everything straightened out.
We move ahead to 18. The approach of Steve Shriver from the left side of the fairway. Look out.
Almost slam dunked it, but that is heavy rough. You cannot even see the golf ball back there, like an Easter egg hunt.
And next to play at 18, his approach, Rob Bradley from the right center of the fairway.
This hole presented problems all day long. Hard green, a lot of rough over there, and everyone was having trouble getting the ball close. Not many birdies on this hole in the final day.
And finally at 18, Dyson on the left side of the fairway.
This was a familiar sight. Players coming up very, very close. With that pin cut right down there, it was not difficult to really get the ball bouncing to the back and away.
Back to 17, and the familiar red is Steve Ford.
Steve told me, he said, I'll admit it, I was choking and gagging all the way through 17 and just trying to get my bearings, but he's a great player.
And we stay at 17. This will be Mark Wilson trailing by 2 strokes.
You're going to hear a lot more about this young man. Again, winner earlier in the year at Greenville, South Carolina, has been a factor in several tournaments. Right up there on the money list, top 5. And again, right fresh out of college. So he's a very fresh face in the tour. He's out of Wisconsin. Wow, got a funny kick there. Almost like he paid the squirrel.
And the 18th green, this is Rob Bradley for birdie to go to 6 under par. And uh-oh, look out, just by the hole. Back to 17 now, Lee. This guy can knock down some flags. This is Brinker.
A golfing family. Wife, Tracy, they have a new little boy. Well, he's almost a year old, shouldn't be said new, but she played on the Futures Tour at one time. Caddied for him some, but he'll like that shot right there.
Ahead to the home hole. This is Steve Shriver after a poor chip. That was for his par.
Well, he'll pick up the bogey here and a round of 73. So this young man having himself a good tournament, though.
Hey, I'm Misha, and I'm with the Birmingham Hooters, and you are watching the NGA Hooters Tour, so stay tuned.
TJ and I were just walking through the park, and out of nowhere, a little boy comes up to me and says, "Can I have your autograph?" I looked around and I said, "Me? Why me?" He says, "Well, my dad and I were in the restaurant the other day, and you're our Hooters girl." I love my job. You know, Hooters has provided me the opportunity to pursue my education in broadcast journalism. One day, Tom Brokaw, I'm gonna have your job. And TJ, he never has to worry about where his next bone's coming from. Come see me at Hooters.
Do you want to cut fat without losing flavor? Are you looking for a product that's all natural and preservative-free? Then get out of the aisle and get over to the fresh produce department, where all the fresh fruits and vegetables are. Introducing Naturally Fresh Fat-Free Dressings. Naturally Fresh dressings are 100% natural. We cut the fat, but left all the flavor. Naturally Fresh Fat-Free Dressings. The name is our promise.
People think that the Australian outback is full of young, wild ranch hens called jackaroos. Fact is, jackaroos are quite civilised. Until they grab hold of the big, bold taste of their favourite jackaroo barbie sauce. Then things can get a bit out of hand. Every jackaroo knows, if you don't have jackaroo barbie sauce, you ain't got jack.
This rough is a bear. Cost me the cut this week. Take a look at this. Right down to the bottom it goes. It's trouble around the greens because you can't control the distance that the ball's going to fly, and you don't know how far it's going to roll out once it lands. Another problem is when you're hitting shots in the rough on the fairways. Rough's about 4 inches on the fairways, 3.5 around the greens, and you just can't control the golf ball. Trying to hit a full shot of this, you got trouble.
At the 18th tee, Lee, this is Bob Heintz.
This one gets away from him. Watching Bob hit this one, really got a lot of it, but all day long, the rough on both sides was catching a lot of these shots.
Next to tee at 18, Jason Buha. And that looks like it's moving a little bit right.
The players here, some of them that were trying to make birdies, going with that driver, but the guys on the conservative side were using that 3-wood and some 1-iron, 2-irons.
Mark Wilson at 17, his third shot.
Well, he didn't get a good smooth stroke at that ball, and I'm sure he didn't care for that or would like to have it over.
This guy looks comfortable.
It was, again, you mentioned earlier, just great weather. Here's Steve Ford.
This to go to -12.
That's where you want to be when you have a 2-stroke lead. Tap this one in. Take your time, Steve, and maintain that lead. He's looking at the people that are chasing him, Brinker and Wilson.
And next on the 17th green, this will be Wilson to save his par.
When you play golf, when you have a 2-shot lead over the people you're playing with and you are finishing the 17th hole, you don't quite allow yourself to light up the cigar, but at the same time, that birdie going back to 16 that Steve Ford picked up could really mean something. Well, Mark right here does not like that effort.
He'll drop to 8 under with that effort. And finally, on the green at 17, Brinker for birdie and -10 to go one back of Ford.
How big is this putt? Derek Brinker, Evansville, Indiana. Family in the jewelry store business. Huge jewelry store there.
Well, can you tell?
Well, I see too much white. So he'll tap it in for his par. So they'll head over to 18, he and Steve Ford, with 2 strokes separating them. On this golf course, though, that's not a lot.
Look at what Jason Buha has here on the 18th, his approach shot.
He could almost collect for cutting grass on that one, couldn't he? That's a great effort. Being out on that golf course, watching guys come out with 7-irons, 6-irons, a lot of strength.
Once again from the rough, this is Heintz on 18. I don't like that body English.
Nope. Didn't get quite enough of that. And again, we've been watching the action at 18, and you saw so many shots coming up there. Let's take a look at your leaderboard now. Steve Ford, with a hole to play, is up by 2 strokes. Derek Brinker at 9, Campbell, Wilson at 8 under par, followed by Gilly and Bob Heintz. That's your leaderboard as we head toward the finale. That's a pretty shot there, isn't it?
And at the 18th green, this is Bob Heintz, his third shot to the par 4.
That's a pretty good looking effort right there.
Still a little golf to play there, though. Nice shot. Back to the 18th tee. Here's Pope to tee.
I mentioned that Steve playing with a brand new set of clubs, not even the brand that he had stolen in that incident in Louisville, but really doing well. That found the rough on the other side. How many of these are going to be finding the rough on this final hole?
Here's Gilly's shot at 18.
Well, that's not going to find the rough, Gary. That's right down the middle, and he's got 6-7 iron to the green.
And now Campbell has the honors at the home hole.
You're watching the young men of the NGA Hooters Pro Golf Tour playing in Louisville, Kentucky at the great Seneca Golf Course, just about 7,000 yards long, where guys like Frank Beard and Bobby Nichols, names out of the past, cut their teeth playing the game. More golf coming in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Allison from the Clarksville Hooters. We're having a great time here at this Hooters golf tournament, so stick around and we'll be right back.
What the?
Race fans, the thunder of USAR Hooters Pro Cup racing roars into a track near you, so beware. USA International Speedway, Langley, Peach State, Tri-County, Concord, and more. Hooters Pro Cup is 250 laps of kicking the asphalt. In your face. No holes barred. Short track racing. Jay Fogelman, the coach Jerry Glanville, Justin Labonte, Mario Gosselin, and more lead the field in the chase for more than $2 million. For ticket information, call 800-852-7223. Don't miss the excitement of USAR Hooters Pro Cup racing.
And we're back at the Seneca Golf Course. That problem belongs to Steve Pope on 18, Lee.
Yeah. Well, he's going to come around there and see if he can find his golf ball.
And now the approach of Steve Gilly on 18, his second shot.
From the fairway. This looks real good. As a matter of fact, based on the others you've seen, excellent.
Here's Campbell's approach on 18.
Again, both guys out of the fairway, which wasn't a familiar sight on this day. Well, he didn't really get to take advantage of that shot. Caught a bit of a flyer.
And we move back to the 18th tee, Steve Ford's tee shot.
Steve just wants to get it home. He's got a 2-shot lead, and that, boy, out of sight.
That'll be a tough one. Derek Brinker next to tee at 18.
Well, we've been saying this all day, almost like a broken record. He is in that first cut of rough there, and again, the ball just disappears. A lot of rain in the Louisville area had prevented them from cutting the rough like they normally would. Believe me, players all week long were talking about this rough.
That's the tee shot of Wilson at 18. Through 13 holes, he's tied for the lead.
But he's 2 over the last 4 holes. And that's the name of that tune.
We move ahead to the 18th green. Pope chipping for his 4th shot.
Again, Steve trying to... Well, that's not bad. I mean, well, as Ken Venturi said, wait till it stops rolling. He would not be real pleased with that shot. He's got some work to do.
About 5 feet to pick up his bogey. This is Campbell chipping for birdie on 18. And that's a good chip there.
Yeah, he'll have that for par and a round of 71 to finish at -8.
Next at 18, Steve Gilly for birdie.
Well, again, you could count on one hand the number of birdies made on the final day at this 18th hole. Wow. Good going. Steve Gilly having his best tournament on the NGA Hooters Tour, a young man out of Noonan, Georgia. Good going, Steve. Good work.
And finally at 18, Steve Pope for bogey.
Well, he picks that up. Finishes with a 75, 4 under par for the event. And he did find out they had located his clubs, the detectives had. So that day's going to turn out okay. Here's Steve Ford. Again in the rough. He's your leader. Not a replay, back in the rough. Remember, he is really having problems. Derek Brinker's an outstanding young player. We talked to him.
Yeah, I'm doing the right things mentally. You know, I'm learning from my mistakes in the past and trying to just keep building on my momentum. And I think, you know, if I can keep this momentum going for another, you know, couple of weeks, then I've all of a sudden reached another level in my golf game.
And now, Lee, the approach of Mark Wilson on 18.
Out of the fairway for the Wisconsin native and Chapel Hill graduate. He'll like that fine. Put himself in a position there for a birdie at the final hole. Birdies add up to points and money on the NGA Hooters Tour, and taking a look at our naturally fresh $500,000 Winners Points Championship race. Scott Medlin's on top. He's followed by Zoran Zorkic. Jason Caron not far away from the lead, and then it's Mike Schwartz, Wesley Short. Scott Sterling is up there. All of these coming into this event out of Jasper, Indiana. And then you have Scott Kamen, Mark Wilson, Bob Hines, and Brian Slevin. Through 9 events this year and headed into Louisville in the 10th event of the year, our money leader is Zoran Zorkic. Almost $29,000. Garrett Willis, who won earlier in the year at Atlanta, is next at $27,000 plus. He's followed by Jackson winner Corey Bowman. Then it's Dickie Thompson, a victor at Columbia. And that, again, was earlier in the year. Mark Wilson also won in the tournament at Greenville earlier this year. Wesley Short is next at just over $22,000, followed by Jason Larson, the winner at Mobile. Kevin Blanton won the first tournament of the year. He's at 21. Scott Medlin, then Derek Brinker.
We're at the 18th green. This is Steve Ford's third shot.
Well, that's not bad. He'll have that left right there for his par and a 2-stroke victory. Derek Brinker's in second place, 9 under par.
And here is Brinker, his third shot, chipping out of the deep rough.
Boy, if he could get this one down. But he does not, just short.
About 4 feet left. Mark Wilson for birdie at 18.
This will mean a lot of money if he could get this putt in the hole. A tie for second, a lot better than finishing third. Well, he left it too short.
Maybe a case of nerves on that one. Ford's attempt for par and the win at 11 under.
2-stroke margin right now. Well, he's going to finish that one up. Steve, he can spare it. So that's for the victory right there, Steve Ford. He'll be your winner. I know what he's thinking. My goodness, I wanted to get that par just to have my 2-stroke margin of victory. And here's Mark Wilson.
To save his par. And it looks like he's going to finish at 7 under for the tourney today.
Again, that cost a lot of bucks on the NGA Hooters Tour, where $100 means a lot. That was several $100s there that he
Lee,
lost.
here's the last guy on the course. This is Derek Brinker for par, for 72, and 9 under for the tournament.
So there's your second place finisher. So 2 weeks in a row, he goes 1-2 out of Evansville and now out of Louisville. So Derek Brinker, another great week, and in 2 weeks of play, almost $24,000. But your winner is Steve Ford at 10 under par. Let's look at that final leaderboard. We mentioned Ford. Brinker all by himself at 9 under par. Then it's Campbell at 8 under. Jonathan Clark, the only fella in the 60s today. 1 of 3 at 7 under par, followed by Bradley, Dyson, and Hines, all at 5. And then at 4, Gardner, Shriver, and Steve Pope. That's the final leaderboard from Seneca at Louisville, Kentucky. But your winner, again, Steve Ford. You know, Steve, it's a real pleasure to be standing here with you with the winner's check with probably the best-looking young woman in the world. With I'm sorry, girls on the Hooters. I'm sorry about that, but you're going to have to take second place to Carly Ford right over here and Sharon. But Steve, it's great to stand here. I know how much winning means to you.
Yeah, I played pretty sorry this year, and last week I virtually gave up the third round, and I was going to withdraw, and I said, well, you just need to hang in there, and you know, maybe it'll help you in the future to play a good round on Sunday. So went out there the last round and tried as hard as I could, and it ended up that it helped me this week. So I don't know what it is. I like this golf course a lot, and I enjoy Louisville. I enjoy Bowling Green. I've played well in the state, and my golf coach is from here too. So you know, it's kind of fun to win it for him. So.
Well, and I know Carly likes that, right? Carly, you like to see your daddy win, right?
Can you say? You talk?
I know that next year she'll be talking a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Our winner is Steve Ford at 10 under par. We're at the Rapport Graphite Classic in Louisville, Kentucky. And again, your winner is Steve Ford. We'll see you next week.
And let's take a look at the Naturally Fresh Points Championship. About midway through the season through Louisville, Kentucky, former PGA Tour member Scott Medlin on top at 1440, followed by Zoran Zorkic at 1345, then Jason Caron at 1162, then Wilson Swartz, Heinz at 1097, Chad Campbell, John Kimball, Wesley Short, and finally Scott Sterling. And after 10 of 21 events, Zoran Zorkic on top of the money at 30,503, followed by Garrett Willis, Derek Brinker. There you see Dickie Thompson, Mark Wilson, Corey Bowman, Jason Larson, Steve Ford, Kevin Blanton, and finally Wesley Short.
And we'd like to invite you to join us again the next time on the NGA Hooters Tour, when we'll be coming to you from the Boot Hill Golf Club in Sikeston, Missouri. And before we leave Louisville, special thanks to a lot of great folks that helped us there at the Travel Lodge on Hurstbourne Lane, Pepsi Cola, Hooters of Louisville, Club Hotels by Doubletree on Bluegrass Parkway, and back home at Peachtree City, Georgia, the Wyndham Conference Center.
The following broadcast has been brought to you by Michelob. Naturally fresh, pure spring mountain water. By Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. And by Hooters Restaurants.